Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the Amateur Otaku podcast. How is everybody doing out there? I'm Brandon Alvarado, the Scarlet fan here, lover of Fooly Cooley, because this sweater is just killing it right now. Um, so excited to be here in this newest edition of the Amateur Otaku podcast with my good friends Jamie and Mad Dog Garfield. We're here to talk anime. We're here to talk manga. Today's anime spotlight, for those that are interested in that segment of our show, will be the 2016 original anime only series, 91 Days. Very interesting, awesome revenge mafia inspired and based anime. And we have a lot of thoughts. We watched the whole series. It's a short one, and we're going to share our thoughts with all of you. We'll have a very nice spoiler-free section, and then we'll just spoil the hell out of it because, I mean, it's been out for, I don't know, 7-8 years. So if you haven't seen it, we'll let you know when to dip out, and we'll let you know where to stay if you've seen it and want to hear our thoughts on it. But we're here. Amateur Otaku, talking anime. We are live. So let's start what we do every single night. What have you been watching? What have you been reading? What has been going on with our anime week? And I want to start with you, Isaac, because you always give me the most trouble.
Why? I give you the most trouble?
Well, you got to figure you read everything under the sun. So it's kind of so I want to ask you from what you've been reading, instead of giving us the entire list, because if we allow you to go your entire list, we will lose the entire segment. But give us those anime highlights, the things that stood out to you in this last week of reading and catching up with your favorite anime and manga. Go, Isaac. And what is up, Didge? Salute in the chat to Didge.
I can't recall if this has been officially released or I just read the leaks, but Jujutsu Kaisen and One Piece is two obvious one because those are just batshit insane right now.
Oh, and the last chapter on One Piece was just off the chain. Like, it just keeps escalating. It doesn't stop.
The same goes for Chainsaw Man. And
I haven't read this week's Chainsaw Man, though. I'm behind.
I'm not gonna spoil. And I'm saying this, I've said this before and I say it again. Make the Exorcist Fall in Love is an appreciated gem. It might not be a masterpiece, but I do feel that it deserves more attention.
How many chapters is that in? Because you've been talking about that manga for at least a year now, on and off.
60.
What is it, a monthly release or is it bi-weekly?
It depends. I've seen it come released bi-weekly. It's weekly. I've seen it come next month. It's sort of like comes and goes.
So it's not a set schedule. It just comes out when it's ready.
As far as I noticed, I had to talk to.
What is up, Leo? Geekly
Leo.
Good. What's up, man?
That's good.
So, but yeah, that's a manga that I can highly recommend. It's sort of like a, how should I put it? Demon Slayer.
I don't know what it means. I'm just gonna go with it. That's why it's there. It's a cat and it's there.
Greatest anime of all time.
Read my caption and you get the joke.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but
his caps care for fair enough. Fair enough.
I would. Lasagna sounds good.
There's nothing wrong with lasagna, but make sure you have the right amount of butter.
Yeah, but anyway, it's sort of like Demon Blue Exorcist in the context, that is. If it was a Shonen Jump with a tone of it's someone essence tone of Made in Abyss in many regards kind of deal.
Ooh. So it looks innocent, but it kind of just wants to kill you. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of.
Like, because that's kind of what Made in Abyss is like. Every child show gone wrong. Like it starts so innocent and happy, and then it gets over the top Full Metal Alchemist Dark. You know,
Uh,
Yeah.
I argue that
and it never goes back to the childlike thing. It stays like extreme.
Mm.
I argue that it's darker than Full Metal Alchemist, all things considered, and I do find
Fair.
it's just so funny. I had a friend that has kids about 4 or 5 that saw the poster of Made in Abyss and asked me, "Is this something I could show for the kids?" And I'm just, no,
Nope.
no, no,
Nope.
no.
Run that way. That's
So.
awesome.
But yeah, I know that I have talked about it on and off, and well, I can highly recommend it for those that are looking for other mangas.
Nice.
Well, those 4 has sort of been the highlight.
Nice. Nice.
Alright, cool.
Nice. What's going on with you, Jamie? What's going on with your anime life?
You know, I was kind of slacking a little bit this week. I caught up with Delicious in Dungeon. I still need to watch Metallic Rouge. I did watch Solo Leveling. I'm glad they did a full episode, but I was talking to Didge about this, and apparently AJ has a similar feeling where they keep doing all these cliffhangers every couple of episodes, and it's starting to upset me a little bit. I like we are making progress forward, which is good at least, but it's becoming predictable. Like I already know, like, oh, we're getting to this point, we're gonna stop, we'll get here, we're gonna stop. And like just let something play out,
What's
Howdy.
up? Howdy.
But I am enjoying Solo Leveling, but I feel like the way that they're telling the story right now is what's hurting it the most for me. What else do I be watching? A bunch of things, but I forgot something that I didn't mention is that I watched the Great Pretender Rasbluto movie. I think
Is that like was that like an OVA, like a movie?
Yeah, it was an OVA.
How was it?
I really liked it actually. So they
Nice,
dig
nice.
into like Dorothy's character a little bit, and I guess kind of what happens after season 2. I think it is. I it's been so long since I watched. I have to rewatch to remember. But we do get to see like kind of everybody from the gang scattered here and there. But this really is like a Dorothy story, and she gets like her own like side characters and everything. It was really fun. I would recommend it. Also, I guess shout out to McDonald's. I've seen some anime advertisements there. I heard the sauce was not good,
McDonald's,
but shout out to McDonald's. Yeah, that's it for me. That was my new thing talking about, and I watched that like at least 2 or 3 weeks ago. I completely forgot to mention it, but yeah, if you haven't seen the Great Pretender movie, definitely check that out. That was fun.
Fun fact about McDonald's. It's getting its own anime or whatever reason, made by the same studio that does Bleach and Naruto. But I digress. Go ahead.
The McDonald's thing?
Yes, McDonald's in general, for whatever reason.
Oh.
Anyway, go ahead.
As long as they don't get a dating sim, I'm okay.
We don't
need more fast food dating sims. We do not need those. It doesn't need to happen. I don't need to see the version of the Hamburglar gets his groove on.
Oh,
I don't need that. I'm okay without it.
That's crazy.
People wonder what Brandon is talking about. Kentucky Fried Chicken has an anime-style dating sim.
Don't look it up. Just don't do it.
Where you're thinking we are trying to get Colonel Sandal to notice you. We did a 2-parter Let's Play, not finished though, which makes me sad, on this channel, and it was fucking hysterical.
Oh, it's on this channel? I didn't know that.
It is a black spot. And if it gets a lot of views, I'm gonna be upset, but appreciative. It is so bad. Yes, it is. It is, Leo. It's wild. It's wild.
They knew who they were talking to with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So Yeah. So the funny thing about Great Pretender,
Mm-hmm.
the director of 91 Days directed the series,
Oh,
which
that's
is a
wild.
crazy crossover that I wasn't expecting us to make.
Yeah,
But
that was unintentional.
that was that's the magic of the amateur.
Mm-hmm.
um, did you close out your reading anime stuff list for today,
Yeah,
Jimmy?
yeah, I've
Have you read
closed it out.
anything?
Not recent. I've been reading a lot of like, I don't know, career advice books, I guess, lately. So if y'all need
There's nothing wrong with
recommendations
that.
on that, I could let you know, but it's not anime. or manga, I should say.
There's books that has weird names that I'm willing to that are career or personal development books, but the names of them should not be broadcasted in this channel. So I will not say them. But they're funny and they're great and they're very good. I'll talk to you after and share them with you. So I guess it's my turn. I have not really. So I watched the first episode of Dress Up Darling with my girlfriend. I've been
Oh.
kind of trying to find the moment to watch it, and she was like, "What the hell are we watching?" Um, but she's giving it a shot. I think she laughed a couple of bit. Like my girlfriend is a type of viewer that for her, you know that she's starting to get somewhat invested when she starts talking in the middle of it and asking me questions like, "Why is this?" Like like of course she doesn't watch anime, so she's questioning things like, "Why did why did we see her underwear when she just moved? Why was there a zoom there? Like why did that need to?" Like, which happens
Oh
a lot with
man.
Marin.
Yeah,
But it's like little things like that. But she enjoyed it and it was great. Um,
that's good.
Good question, Didge. But that is not the name of the book. There is a book written by someone that I think is from Scotland, and he reads it. It's called Unfuck Yourself. And it's
Mm.
all about mental clarity and learning how to deal with yourself in a better, more proficient way.
That
And
sounds like a
sometimes to be able to
Scottish
do that,
title, to say the
and
least.
some and sometimes to be able to do that, you have to unfuck yourself. And
Mm.
that's the name of the book. It's a great book. Um, or rather, the subtle art of I've seen that book so many times. Yes, Didge. See, Didge knows what I'm talking about. He's in the know.
Alright.
But back to the anime. But so we watched the first episode. Hopefully, she gets excited to watch the second one because the second
Mhm.
one, of course, is going to get her weirded out even more because that's when they do all the measurements, which is a very
Mm.
funny episode. But yes, that's the anime that I watch. Apart from the anime we're going to cover, I'm reading a lot though. Yes, yes, Leo on the chat. It's a great book. It's an audiobook on Audible that I enjoy quite a bit. Of course, I'm reading a lot. They dropped a new chapter of Kaiju number 8, Side B. And for those that have read Kaiju number 8, we're starting to read it. If you're more than probably 30 to 50% through it, you can pick up Side B. You don't have to be 100% caught up with Kaiju number 8. And the beautiful thing that Side B is doing, which a lot of other books tend to take a very long time to do, and I appreciate the fact that um, uh, Toya Matsumoto is joining up with other writers and other artists. Is that Kaiju number 8 Side B is literally giving good, simple 4 chapter arcs to a lot of the characters that we care a lot about. And like we had the first 4 chapters are with Vice Captain Oshina. Now we're having more time with Kikuru Shinomiya, and I wonder who else we're gonna see in the Side B collection. But it's like a very nice anthology series that goes right with Kaiju number 8 that is 100% canon and good material, because you get a little bit, because of course Kaiju number 8 is almost 100% focus on Kafka and everything around him, which is the main character of Kaiju number 8. But Side B does a great job of showcasing those characters that have phenomenal moments. And you kind of want to know more about how they get to be the people that they are, because by the time a lot of them you see them in the main series, they're already pretty fleshed out. Not saying that they don't get character development, but they're pretty well fleshed out in that. So you should definitely check it out on Kaiju number 8 side B. Still reading Shojin X from Sui Ishida, the creator of Tokyo Ghoul, which I enjoyed quite a bit. I'm enjoying that. But I made a discovery. It's a book that's been kind of on my list, but I never really tried it until this week. And it's blowing my freaking mind of how good and how great it is. And I bought all first 3 volumes because I couldn't help myself.
Oh my gosh.
It is so good. And that book is Hard Gear.
Hard Gear.
And it's on Shonen Jump. You can't really see the art because of my background, but
it's also Manga Plus for those that doesn't have access to Shonen Jump.
So it's a manga that started back in 2019. It's had a couple of year-long hiatuses, but it keeps coming back. But the basic premise, I think the best way I can describe it without giving anything away is if you like journeys, if you like sci-fi, if you like thoughtful, provoking, philosophical sci-fi stories that have to do with androids and whether or not they're human, whether or not they have feelings, emotions, souls, like if that's the kind of theme that you like, which is one of my favorite sci-fi question themes, ideas, and things to explore in stories, this is the one for you. It is literally an android that is found by this girl, which is the last human on the planet, because all the humans have been wiped out because of endless wars with insane gears. That's what we call robots. And you have a bunch of these robots that have a base program, which is literally their purpose for existing. And because base programs can only be distributed by humans and there's no more humans, all these robots have been living based on that one base program for the rest of their lives for centuries. So now you have this little kid human that's traveling with this brand new found android whose base program is to protect her, but he's also like a child and he's learning about the world. And it's an exploration of androids and gears and learning what it is to be human, but also whether or not androids are human too. And it's super interesting, super powerful, and the action is phenomenal. The action is phenomenal, and the designs are great. Tsuyoshi Takaki is doing a great job with this book. The art is great. It's part of the Viz signature series, so it does have the extended panel style and the bigger pages. That's why the size of the book is a lot bigger than most. Right now, they just added chapters to Shonen Jump, so it has a total of 21 chapters so far. But I'm telling you, if you love Blade Runner, if you love Android stories, if you love those type of questions and exploring them in any kind of story format, this is one of the best books I've read in a long time. That's sci-fi and, that this kind of angle. It is phenomenal. It's called Heart Gear. Heart Gear. And it really digs into the idea of what makes someone human and what's considered a soul and stuff like that. Yes, I read the book as well. The movies does a better job with the themes of it, but that book is great. And it does work with those themes because you literally have these. For example, one of the first characters you meet is a robot that was built to be a researcher. So all he does is read all day and experiment things all day. And then the biggest experiment was when he found this baby girl that he found out of nowhere, and learning and studying her and how she lived and making her happy and understanding how her emotions work is how he grew. But the funny thing is that even though androids don't have emotions, they do evolve in their way of thinking due to experience, which makes you think, If they can learn with experience, do they really have a soul? And all those things add up together. I'm way talking too much because I'm super excited. Yes, I bought all 3 volumes. I have a problem. But yeah, it's an ongoing series. All 3 volumes are available on Amazon. I think by the end of May, volume 4 is going to be released. But yeah, Hard Gear, super great. I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend it. That's my thing. Now, wrapping up this segment, I thought it would be pertinent to talk about this one thing. And yes, I'm going to cut you both by surprise. I'm sorry. I think it's pertinent that we talk about this one thing because it was announced earlier this week and we covered the show here on the channel. And I just want to know what your thoughts are on the fact that Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix got renewed. Not only for season 2, it got renewed for season 2 and 3, which for those that know Avatar, they're going to do book 2, they're going to do book 3, which means they're planning to do the entire series. And I wanted to know what y'all think. Isaac, you gave it an okay rating. Are
Yeah,
you
I said
excited?
potential
Are
out
you
of 10.
Oh
What was
yeah.
that?
Wait, did you finish it?
Well, good question.
I finished it and it was all right, kind of deal. I didn't hate it like some Avatar: The Last Airbender fans did, but I didn't love it like I saw some other fans did. It was just maybe it's because I saw seen stuff like Cowboy Bebop or Dragon Ball Evolution. I mean, this is just fine,
Yeah.
kind of deal.
So you're
And
okay with getting more, but if you didn't get more, you were fine as well.
yeah,
Fair.
kinda.
Fair.
I'm and since as of what Mike said, they have openly said that they are open for criticism and wanted people to send in their reviews. So hopefully, season 2 and 3 can become much better. I mean, everyone can learn from their mistakes sometimes. So
Yeah.
I really hope that is the case. But yeah, I really hope so. How about you, Jamie? What are your thoughts on it?
I'm happy. Toph is probably my favorite character in the show. So if they canceled it before we could see Toph, I would have been very
Oh, Bei
sad.
Fong.
Would have been very sad.
Yes.
But I enjoyed the first season. I feel like people who are like diehard Avatar fans or just like fans that really know the story really well didn't enjoy this season so much, but people who are maybe like a little bit removed or it's been a while since you've seen it, like generally it's been like, oh yeah, this was cool. Like I would watch more of this. And I'm definitely falling to that camp. So
Nice.
I'm excited
Nice.
we get to see more. Hopefully, they continue to take some of the criticisms that have been given, and especially when it comes to like what stories they decide to merge and what stories they decide don't need to be
Yes.
adapted. But yeah, I'm really happy about this news. I'm curious how this is gonna work, especially if they are gonna take the time to take criticism, because like those kids won't be kids for too long, so they gotta move
Yes. So they got
with some
Yep.
haste. But yeah, that's me.
Yep. See, I'm excited because y'all know that I came around to a 6.5 rating, right? I was able to come around 6.5 by the end of it when I finished it. Like I enjoyed episodes 1 and 2. I really struggled through 3 to 5, but then 6 and onward, it made sense to me. It was like what they were trying to do. I accepted it more. And I like the idea of the cliffhanger. Spoilers for those that haven't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender. We already said that we covered it a couple of weeks ago. So if we're talking about it, you haven't seen it, mute us for like 5 more minutes. I like the post-credit scene of the fact that as opposed to the kids learning of Sozin's comet through Roku in the show, this is something that the Firebenders, the Fire Nation is using as a driving force like they know this is going to happen and that's going to be their moment to shine. You know what I mean? Like we're seeing
Mhm.
it from that angle. So I like the idea of that becoming somewhat of a MacGuffin in the future as opposed to happening now, because they were trying to find their place to settle, like to find their footing, and it wasn't great footing, but they found some of it. So I hope that it gets better. I hope the writing is great. But I woke up with this trauma in my head, and I immediately sent Mike a voice message, and I said, I want to be excited. I'm excited, but I'm also so concerned because the success of these two seasons hinge on the casting of Toph Beifong. Like if they do
Mm.
not nail that casting, nail how that character is portrayed, we're gonna lose a lot because she literally is like the missing piece to that trio, to that group of Team Avatar, and she brings so much to the story and to their dynamic. But also that character is just freaking badass in so many ways, you know. And like if we don't get the best portrayal of Ta Wei Fong on season 2 and 3, I'm gonna, at least season 2, that's the one thing that kind of scares me. So I kind of want them to take their time in their casting, or at least in the writing, so we can see those things. Yes, the casting of Top will be fine. The writing of Top, though, yes, both things. I'm worried about both things. Look, Mike on the chat says hashtag let Top say. Hey man,
I
it's not a
mean,
kids show. We can
I
let her
mean,
say it.
Brandon, the show would top the charts then if she said that.
Yes, true, true. Because it's funny. Because if any character of that team would say that, it's tough. She's the one that would say, especially when trying to train Aang. Um, yes, that's like that would be the thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, anything else on this, guys, or do we move on?
No, I think that's it. Excited. I don't know when we'll see it, but I'm excited to see it at some point.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So it's time to talk about the show of the hour, of the moment, of the stream. Today's
Ooh.
anime spotlight is an anime that Isaac has been suggesting for a while, and we figured we give it a shot because we talked about ourselves and we share things.
I have
Isaac held us
suggested.
hostage. He put a gun to our heads and he said, "If we don't watch this week,
And the funny
bad
thing
things
is
will happen."
that would be within character of this
Yeah.
anime. It is a
Yeah.
mafia anime. I'm gonna give you an offer you can't refuse.
To be fair, I have tried to
Fed us
make us
lasagna.
cover. I've been suggesting this before we even started YouTube, if you
wow.
recall. So
Oh
I
my
refuse
gosh.
to remember.
yeah,
I just
that's
don't.
that's nothing new. But
It's
yeah,
400 chapters ago.
yeah, pretty much.
Several arcs
Yeah.
ago.
But
He's
yeah, I would like to hear your guys' thought about 91 days before I take the reign, considering I was the one suggesting
So I
it.
actually,
Mhm.
want to do it. I rather you go first, and here's why. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because since you recommended it, you have the most history with. So I want to know how you found it. How, like, do you do you like it so much that you own it? Like, I
I
also
would
want to
like
know
to own
why
it,
you like
but
it.
I
So
would like to
share
own it.
you, and then we go, because you're
I
the one
would
that
like to
recommended it.
own it, but the only place I've seen it sell is on Amazon from time to time. But Amazon, for whatever reason, don't take my PayPal. For I don't get it, but we can talk about that. Maybe I ask you to buy it for me and send it later. So kind
We
of
will
deal.
break the region block.
Yes, but
So
I digress. When it comes to it comes to this show, I don't recall how I found it out because, well, it's sort of like you know how you search for good shows and just scroll down and kind of deal
Yeah,
and just. It's
that's
sort
how
of
I
like
found Hard
that.
Gear.
It's sort of like that here, but I do believe I saw it via a review. I can't really recall, and I have and you know how many shows I've seen over the years,
Mm-hmm.
or since but I don't know why I really it might be because the reason I like this is mostly because I know how personal this story is. Because the more personal stories, the more more than often gets connected towards it. That's for example why I like Chainsaw Man so much, because it's so personal with connected to Denji. One Piece is so personal for the connection with the Straw Hats kind of deal. It's just
Yeah,
if it's not something that just and and it's also something that I honestly am surprised that, as far as I know, I can admit that this is something that haven't been adapted to a live action setting, because this is just screaming.
yes,
Honestly,
that's a fair
condense this
assessment.
to compare this writing, you could condense it a bit, and I would dare argue that you could even have an Oscar winner on this, and if it had been adapted properly. And no, I'm not over. This is not me being, what's the word, over estimated or something like
Hmm.
that.
Over like exaggerating.
Over exaggerating. Thank you,
Yeah.
because this is, but it's also maybe it's because I like the Durara show and how stylistic that one is, since it's from the same studio. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just so funny because I'm not often connected to mafia stories, but specifically this one and Bakano is something I do really enjoy. And at least Bakano I managed to find a copy of. So who knows? Maybe I get to find a copy of 91 Days someday.
So it's funny because I was also very surprised that you recommended this, because the level of violence that you see in this show, I it's pretty uncommon for you to recommend shows like
Yeah,
this. So
I watch
so I can
Attack on
see, so I can see.
Titan. I
Well,
watch Attack.
well, it's not fantasy. It's more like realistic
Yeah,
violence. You see what I'm
yeah,
saying?
fair
Like, you
enough.
kind of you can kind of give a suspension of disbelief a little bit more when it's fantasy. You know what I
Fantasy.
mean? Like Attack on Titan, those are more real,
But
more raw, and more in your face. Kind of.
maybe it's because it's animated. I don't think, and not live action. If you catch my drift,
Yep.
it's easier to
Now,
digest if it's animated than live action when it comes to stuff like this. For me, at least.
so this comes from a studio named Shuka,
Yes.
which I've never heard before, but I didn't know that they developed the second part of Durara, the second season of Durara. They're behind that show, and they're behind this one as well. Now, the director Hiro Kaburagi, which worked on this show, also directed the series Real Pretender, which we mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
But also the writer, the one that wrote the screenwriter for this one, has done a lot of cool stuff. Like, they've done Hayaku, they've done some of Erased, which we covered on the channel, and he also has worked on the remake of Fruits Basket, which is
Mm.
one of those love animes that's been around for years. It is like uber famous.
No.
Um, and he used to work for Studio Ghibli, which is also very interesting.
That's an odd
yeah, it's a
resume.
shift. It's a little shift, yeah. But yeah, like it has great talent. I mean, it's funny because it's one of those animes, visually speaking. It's funny because it looks older than what it really is, but it's also because of the filtering animation that they chose to go with. And also, I mean, you could say also the budget. Maybe they didn't have the budget to do something that had better quality during that time in 2016 because it's not that old. I kind of expect it looks like it's older, but it kind of works in a way for the type of story that it is. It reminds me of the animation for Gungrave, which is a show that I quite enjoyed, and it's also short like this one.
I mean, it could also be a bit stylistic choice. I mean, just look at the freaking logo at the beginning and tell me that it's not inspired by Godfather.
Yes, that logo is 100% style. And also, for those that maybe recognize the singer that sings, the singer that sings the opening is TK, which is the same one that does Unravel for Tokyo Ghoul. And he also does, I believe, the first, and his band Ling Song Tonight, I think is the name of it. They also sang the first intro for Psychopaths, and I think they do the third one too. They did a lot of cool stuff. I enjoyed this series quite a bit. I think my only issue with it is that I feel that it felt a little too long. It's like it's quite of a it's and yes, it's only 13 episodes, but it felt like it's felt very long. But when you get by that to episode 11 and the big twist occurs, you kind of are over the moon with the buildup. Like you're able to appreciate it, but it takes a while for you to get to that appreciation. But it's still very well done, and the ending is very artful and not what I expected. But at the same time, is exactly what I expected. Like it's I have mixed feelings, not because I don't like it, but because I don't know exactly what I expected it to be. But the ending feels perfect. Does that make sense? That's the logo for 91 Days. What are your thoughts, Jamie? What you gave it a shot, you watched it. What are your thoughts on it?
You know, this is a hot take, I guess. But I had to try the show twice. So the first time I was not really feeling it. Like I wasn't feeling connected to what was happening. I was almost going to say like, hey guys, like can we make it like 6 episodes instead?
Like I can't do this.
I don't know if I can do this.
But you felt the same thing that I felt when putting on episode 3 of Avatar. Like, oh
yeah. But then I tried it again. I started from the beginning and I'm like, let me like lock in, fully pay attention to this, or at least as best as I can. And I do still have some I guess critiques about the beginning. This is a revenge story, classic revenge story, I guess, where the mafia takes out I almost said his wrong name, Angelo's family. His name is Angelo, but then he goes by Avilio Bruno. But Angelo, they take out
Avilio Bruno. You gotta do the hand. You gotta say it. Avilio Bruno.
But in the beginning they take out his family, which I guess isn't really it happens like within the first few minutes of the show.
That is the premise.
That's the premise.
People die.
So that's kind of his motivator going forward, as far as like, I need to get back at these people. Like I need to really hit them where it hurts. It's like I can kind of connect with that, but I also wish we had a moment to kind of like connect with his family a little bit, so that way I also felt the pain. Because it's like as soon as we really get to see his family, it's like boom, they're gone, and I was like, oh wow, okay. I'm like I feel
they're
sorry for this kid. Yeah,
like
yeah, pretty much. And then after that, I feel like everything kind of played out the way that I expected it to. And honestly, I feel like a lot of things are predictable, almost feels like a negative way to describe something.
You're not wrong. Like you
But
get to a point where, okay, now this is gonna happen. This is probably the guy. Like you kind of like, but it's something that the show forces you to do. Like it's not even that you want to do it. It's just
yeah,
the it does gives you everything you need to know to arrive to the conclusion, which what
yeah.
makes the twist in the end so big.
Yeah, they did get me a couple of times. And that's
Yeah.
unfortunately, like right towards the end is where I started to finally feel like, oh, okay, I'm kind of interested in like what's going on. Like I'm
Yes,
starting to
just
see
like
it.
me.
And then it
Yes.
ends. And I'm like, oh.
Okay,
Like,
it's
all
over.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That being said, like I don't think this is a bad show. It's just like me personally, like I love like mysteries and like detective stories. So those naturally like they make you really think about what's going to happen and they aren't as predictable, or at least like they make you feel like it's going one way and then it goes another way. This
Yeah.
show was pretty like cut and dry, going straight through beginning to end. You kind of you get the feeling you know what's going to happen, and it makes
Yeah.
sense because you know the way that Avilio approaches this, like there really wasn't too many ways that this could have ended up towards the
Yeah.
end. But it does lend itself to surprises at the end, which I was like happy to see. Those are probably my favorite parts of the series. But
Yes.
overall, I went on a serialized because now I'm trying to keep track of like all the shows and stuff that I've been watching. And at first, I put it at a 2.5. I'm like, oh, I wish I could have got more out of this, you know? Like the end part is when I started to finally feel like, okay, we're getting somewhere. And I also agree with you, Brandon, that this show did feel very long. Like I would finish an episode, I'm like, my God, how long have I been here? I'm like, oh, it was only 30
Because
minutes.
because it's funny because Isaac, you mentioned that a lot of the things that they do are intentional and stylized, right? And I
Yeah.
think I can agree with that, especially with the whole Godfather angle or
Mhm.
that type of mafia movie, right?
Yeah.
Like every single goon has a Tommy gun. You know what I mean? Like they also like, you know
The
what I mean?
Chicago
All the cars
typewriter.
are the same. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like all those things are like very typical uh 30s 20s mafia kind of thing, right? And but yes, it's the whole thing of you're meant to enjoy, or you're meant to enjoy the day to day of these people. It's
Hmm.
not just about the mystery. And I think that's one of the things, creatively speaking, that I think they succeed, whether we like or not, in terms of its length, because you do spend an exuberant amount of time in the ins and outs of how those people live and function. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I think that to me is interesting, but maybe not interesting enough for me to care, because the way it's set up is it's all about Angelo's revenge story, and this
Hmm.
this is the plot, but because it really also focuses on the on how a family works, you know, the family,
Yeah.
you know how that works, that kind of gets in between, and sometimes then you go back to the plot, but it just muddles its way through it. Of course, because of that, we get one of the best relationships on the show, which is Avelio and Nero.
Yeah. That was really
And I
great.
think I think the show shines whenever they're both on screen, especially
Hmm.
with the dichotomy between both of their characters. Like they're very, very, very different. And because we know Angelo Avelio's intentions, everything is a lot, there's always intrigue and questioning everything that happens. But at the same time, you see them bonding. So you kind of like don't know what to feel, but you still feel it all anyway. So the show does succeed in a lot of those things. But yeah, sometimes it feels a little long, but I can't help but feel that it is by design, you know? So those are the kind of things that, for everybody out there, before we finish our spoiler free section, those are the things you want to watch out for. Like if you like long long paced dramas, this is a great show for that. It feels like a slow burn. It slowly introduces you into the world. But when you meet the characters, you really meet the characters and you spend time with them. And it doesn't really overstate characters that are not that important. It really focuses on the characters that are really moving the story. Like if the character's on screen, it's because that character is important to something that's happening, not because we just want to give someone a one shot for something. Everything is a moving cog. It just moves very slowly. And if you're into that, this is a show for you. If you're not, then if you're willing to endure, I don't want to say suffer. If you're willing to endure the first 10 or 9 out of 12 episodes, then those last 3 episodes are going to blow your mind in a very positive way, because I think that's where the show just changes and evolves in a way that's very satisfactory. It's a show that has a hell of a climax, which is surprising to say for the slow burn that it is. So that's, I mean, Isaac, do you have anything else to add before we go into spoilers?
No, it's you probably nailed it on the head of why I also liked it so much. Is, well, you know me with the character interactions. I'm gonna go to the point of Avelio and Nero's relationship in this show, kind of deal. But I can move over to spoilers.
So before we go into spoilers, I think it's fair that we give our rating for the show. Jamie, are you still in that 2.5 out of 10?
I bumped it up.
Is it a potential out of 10?
No, I bumped it up to like a 3 out of 5. I feel like realistically, I think it'll be a 3 out of 5.
So out of 5. So no longer a 10 scale. It's a 5 scale. So
well, that's just how it is on Serializer. Like usually I do things out of 10, so I probably would put it at 6 out of 10.
Okay, bet. That's not bad. Isaac, you recommended it. You have a special place for it, but if you were to rate it,
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10? Cool. I would say a 7.5 out of 10 for me. It's a 7.5 out of 10 series and it's funny because what saves it is the payoff. That's really what saves it. But again, for those out there that have not seen it, those are your tips and tricks. That's your in. Like, that's where if you look up 91 Days, which by the way, it's on the description, is available on Crunchyroll, at least in the US. The entire series is there. It's 12 episodes and a OVA that brings you a bit more context to other characters. But if you're willing to endure the first 9 episodes, you're going to have a blast with the finale, which is a nice 3-episode arc, pretty much. It earns that 7.5 out of 10 out of me. So 7.5 out of 10 for 91 Days. Now, for those that have seen the show, we're going to talk spoilers. If you haven't seen it and you want to see it, get the hell out of here. You are awesome. We love you and thank you for joining us today on this episode of the Amateur Otaku podcast. Make sure you click on the like button, subscribe, click on that bell for notifications so you do not miss anything that we do on the Amateur Otaku pod. You will keep you posted on what we're doing, so keep an eye out on our Twitter. But let's go into spoilers. So the spoiler warning is on there. It shouldn't be a ticker. What am I doing? I need to know what I'm doing. I just work here. Spoilers on 91 Days. We're going to spoil the hell out of this. So if you've not seen it, walk away now. If you have seen it, join us in the chat as we spoil the hell out of this.
You know, I want to start this off with a question for Isaac, because I was very intrigued to hear that he felt this was a very personal story, because I think that's actually, I disagree. And that's one of the elements that brought me out of it. And I'll do a quick explanation as to why. I feel like as far as like Avelio's character, we don't really get to know him more than, oh, this trauma deeply affected me, and because of
Yes.
that, now my life's purpose, but simultaneously, like, he's still trying to figure out what his life's purpose would be outside of this world. But currently, his life's purpose is to destroy the Venetti family, and he'll do it by any means possible. I also see that he's a relentless person. He's somebody that's not easily shaken. Which we definitely see kind of like that difference there between him and his childhood. But outside of that, I don't really feel like I know him, you know? So I'm curious like what your perspective is on that and on Avelio or Angelo.
I mean, the reason why I say personal story is that do we have a lot to connect with him, as you said? No, we don't. But we can all, I argue, can imagine how we would feel if we would see our family getting murdered, as, like they were for him. Maybe not for everyone, but there would be some that would go revenge, 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 and it's it's human to think about that, and for it becomes personal to me. Sure, no, personal piece for the face. Why I see it as a personal journey is that I argue that you can feel him while he want to try and take everyone else out. You can see him being somewhat reluctant. More the further you go on in the show about how he wants to what he wants to do with Nero, due to him connecting with Nero as well as he does. Even though he was part of those that, well, went in and killed his family. So it's
Right.
the conflict that, in regards to that, that makes it, that is the most personal aspect for me. Do I agree with you that I would like to see maybe not an entire episode, but maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes of the family that we could connect with more? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's for me, I find that that the focus on this story is how the journey, not more the journey and not the reason as to why, but they feel that they need to have the shown reason. It's sort of like Batman at this point. How many times do we really need to see the origin story kind of deal? We know that he has the reason that his parents gets killed. He wants to have revenge and the evil society. How many times do we have seen revenge stories in gangster films that someone wants to get revenge on a gangster family? Insert the amount here. So they took the more simplistic part and focusing on, well, the relationship and his revenge plot. And what's put it on the edge for me, like I said before, is the interaction and relationship between Abilio and Nero, which is arguably the heart of the and foundation of the entire story.
I'd agree.
Now to Jamie's point, which is why I agree with her, is that everything you said is true. Like you kept our wondering more, but because we know for a fact, and we're constantly reminded of the drive or what's driving Avilio's decisions and actions. It is a personal thing because we feel that we are first person seeing this thing, right?
Yeah.
But you really don't see how conflicted he is about Nero till the last scene.
Yeah.
Like there's no reference of him. You see, you can maybe argue there's glimpses and hesitation.
Yeah.
But you don't see it clearly presented, because every time we see him keeping Nero alive, we are reminded by the story that Nero's alive because he hasn't met Nero's dad, who he has to take out to.
Yeah.
And it's not till I think it's episode 10 that he finally meets Nero's dad. And by then, he already has his master plan figured out, which is going to take him both out. But then again, we find out that his plan was never to take him out. Originally, it was to take him out, but then it became destroying his heart. That's really what
Yeah.
he was after, but you don't see how conflicted he is about it in terms of ending Nero's life, which is what Jamie is referring to.
Yeah. I think
Fair.
he
Till the
was
final
like,
scene, till the final scene where he actually says,
Yeah.
"I didn't want to kill you."
yeah. I
I
think he
just
felt
feel
like the most human towards the end, like what Brandon was saying, and like before we got to the points where oh my god, what is his name? I'm gonna feel so bad that I messed it up. His
Who?
sworn brother, I guess.
Oh, Corteo.
Yeah, Corteo. It wasn't until like Corteo
Is he
died.
dead, or did he really
He's dead.
escape?
He's dead.
he is dead.
He's dead. He was just seeing
We never
ghosts.
saw his body though.
No, we saw his body. he had
Where?
a hole in his heart and he was sitting in the chair. Like they went to go see if they killed him. Or they went to go see if Vila killed him and they saw his body. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't until that moment that I felt like I was watching a character that was being used as a medium or like a vessel for this story, and not really a person that's experienced all these things, and we're watching
Yeah.
their story. But then once we see Mike Corteo get taken out, interestingly enough, that's when I feel like we got to see a lot more emotion and like kind of how Avilo really feels about things. And I think maybe if they had taken the approach of letting Avilio kind of use Corteo as a confidant, like, like this is how I actually feel about all the stuff that's going on. I didn't want to kill those people, which he probably didn't, but he always acted like really callous, which I guess you could also say it was a part of his character. But even then, you have to break the shell at some point so we get to learn more. And I feel like we didn't get to do that till the end.
Yeah.
But you're right, and in a sense, this is a personal story because it's like it's about his family. But I mean, just like Avilio personally, I don't feel like I knew him well enough until towards the end.
Yeah, and you can
That's
argue,
fair.
which I think, and you can argue, which is also to Isaac's point. The point is not to know who he is. The point is to understand why he's doing it, which is a different take on it, right? Like, because you like you said, Jamie, you rarely see into his emotions, except when his plan is working out. And you see the darkness in him, which is one of the things that I liked, because you see, like, there's this one shot, I think it's in episode 3, where officially Nero has to get out of town, and they say, take Avilio with you. You see him smiling like a demonic smile.
Yeah.
And you think about, so he's going to find a way to take him out. But that doesn't happen. And because he learns other things, which again, great storytelling, right? But I like also that even though it's his story, it's also very much Nero's story. Nero is the second protagonist of this show.
Yeah.
And even though it's not presented in the beginning that way, it is, because they are both the cause and the effects of the worst moments of each other's lives. Just like Nero took a part on what destroyed Avilio's and Angelo's life, Angelo is the defining factor that destroyed Nero's life. And I also like the fact that let's talk about the twist before we go to the ending. He doesn't kill Nero's father.
Yeah, I was surprised.
He kills the other Don, which to me, that was like the greatest twist ever, because of course, the way everything goes, right? And the fact that we know for a fact that he kills Vano Clemente, which is the first person on the letter, he actually kills him, right? And on the record, first person he's ever killed in his life, because that's one of the things that they made a point to, which contributes to what Isaac was saying of being a personal journey. Um, he makes the choice to just bring down the Venetti family name down, destroy the family, destroy what the name means, literally destroyed the house of sand that they built on his dad's murder. Like that's literally what, and that to me is like so. That's some Game of Thrones level shit. Like when he goes in there with the gun, and you're like, oh crap, he's gonna kill the old man, but then he kills the other one. It's like everybody go. I went like, oh, like, like that was that one. That was an oh shit moment. It was great because of that they kill Gonzo, which fuck that guy. And of course because of the shock, Vincent Venetti dies anyway because he was sick. He was on his way out, and then Nero's world comes crashing down. Like to me, again, slow burn, but when you get to those moments, you're like, I see you. I see what you're doing. It was great. What was your reaction when that happened? When he didn't kill Vincent, he killed Don Gasalia. What was your reaction? Galassia, I think is the name.
The other Don. Who, me or Isaac?
Whichever. What was your reaction, guys?
Oh, you go first, Isaac.
I was kind of with you.
Just swallow your lasagna.
Chew thoroughly.
I was sort of like the same as first, but wait, what? But then sort of like when I thought about it, sort of like no, he just didn't kill the family. He took the sort of like those that were the closest within the revenge. He took down the entire, with except for Nero, down. That made the damage much bigger, and because of that, it just escalated, and he kind of got what he wanted, with exception for, and he kind of get what he wanted. And regarding the whole, going back to the whole him being question if you want to do with Nero or not, it's sort of is it in your face? No, but I do think there is subtle hints towards that he gets conflicted, and that is what connects to him. I don't know why, but his actions, when the more he behaves, comes off more and more conflicted, and that you don't want to. It just sometimes I feel that you don't. It wouldn't have worked if we wouldn't have had him in the face of the viewer, kind of due to how stylistic this show is. Honestly.
Yeah, and I think him killing Venetti would have been the typical thing, what you expect.
Yeah.
Which is why when he didn't do it was a great way of going. And also it ended up Gonzo's death too. You go like, and you skip. It's like any other well, let me say this because I just thought about it, and it's actually so perfect for the genre. It is perfectly perfect for the genre. Both of you have seen The Godfather, right?
I actually have not. I know. That's another shock. There you go.
It goes with the territory. So
Yep.
okay, so is it okay with you if I spoil
Yeah, you can go
something
ahead.
that's, I mean, it's a film that's what, 40 years old? Actually, damn, it's probably 50 years old. Isaac, you've seen The Godfather, right?
I was part of our Of the Shatter After episode we were recording.
Yeah, and you shed on it. I remember now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting.
So here's the thing. One of the most atypical Godfather epilogue kind of is that, like in the first film you have it with Michael Corleone becoming the Don. On the second one you have it with Vito Corleone, and also Michael towards the end as he's the Don. And then in the third one, you have it in the end when his nephew becomes the Don. But it's like you have a string of murders and literally is a sequence of scenes that all they're showing you is we're crossing our I's and T's before we take over. That's literally what's happening. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I find that that's what's happening here. Like Avelio / Angelo, Avelio Bruno
Avelio Bruno.
literally is closing all the gaps, closing all the missing links that he needed to do to fulfill his plan.
Yep.
And it all happens within that span of 5 minutes. And there's tension and it's frenetic and it's great because you also see great animation, by the way. You also see like the look in Nero's face because he realizes that his world is coming down piece by piece. And it takes place in an opera house, which again, very mafia like. Like if it's gonna happen anywhere, it's gonna happen there, you know.
Yep.
In a pasta. You also get like a version of that is also when Fongo, by the way, what a crazy character of Fongo when he feeds everybody pieces of orco in a lasagna. Like that's like very Godfather as well. But I like how it's in a grander scale here.
Curious, did you guys watch it in sub or dub?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought it up. Jamie, what's your answer to that?
I watched everything. I actually skipped the half episode because I figured it was a recap and I'm like, okay. It felt
out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was like,
I thought that was like a brand new anime thing. I didn't know animes 8 years ago did recap episodes like this.
I guess so. But I watched it in dub
skipped it too.
until the last episode where it was not dubbed for some reason. They did not have.
Yeah, they didn't have because the last episode is actually an OVA. It's not an actual part of the season. Like it looks like they released it afterwards and they never got someone to dub it. That's what it appears like.
But yeah, watched it in dub.
So I watched. So how about you, Isaac? Before I give my answer, because I have an answer.
Well, I watched it first time in the dub format, but this time I watched it in the sub format, just out of curiosity. And I do find it so freaking funny that I go from JAK, where Naname is this stone cold, serious dude, to then voicing Fango, which is just batshit insane.
Oh, it was the same.
Then voice actors. Then voice actor got range.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of famous voice actor, or quote unquote famous, depending on how you look at it, voice actors in this anime. But yeah, I watched it in sub this time.
So I started watching it subbed. So I watched like the first episode subbed. And then because I felt it was one of those shows that I could stand up and like I was cooking my breakfast because I binged it all today. So I took I took a day off.
Wow.
I haven't taken days off in a while. But yeah, I was making oatmeal, making my breakfast or whatever. So I put it on dubbed. And the first thing, and one of the things that I thought was there shouldn't exist a subbed version of this show. There shouldn't exist. And here's why. It's a mafia show. Based in America. I can
see what you mean.
And it's based in America. I don't think the place of Lawless exists, but it's based in America, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And all the English voice actors, they do the thing. They talk like Italians would talk. So it's like it brings everything to life. And like I felt that I didn't have any of that when I had this up.
Yeah.
That's fair.
They were probably playing it straight because maybe there's no way to do the accent or the enunciation of words with that style in Japanese, which again, I would totally understand that. But it's like in my mind, I'm like, there shouldn't exist a sub. The definitive way to enjoy this is dubbed. And if I ever get a chance to watch Bakano, I'm gonna watch it in dubbed as well, because I expect to get the same type of feedback. Which, by the way, Isaac, I was researching to see if I can at least get the manga. I can't get the DVD, but I can
You
get the.
know what? You know what? I have a blue. We have an external Blu-ray that we can connect with USB.
So, Didge. So it's funny that you should ask that. I am not sure. I'm gonna say yes, because the biggest rival house, which is the Galacias, they're based in Chicago.
You know, I did just asking this.
Why is
Well,
Didge asking this?
Well, me and Didge were giving it a shot. When I was watching it the second time, I was like, Didge, I need some help. I need backup. And we were watching it and we heard the accents, and Didge is like, oh, is this based in New York? And I was like, no, there's like forest and everything. I'm like, we don't have this in New York. And then I don't know what he looked up, but he's like, yeah, it's in New York. I'm like, okay. So I didn't say anything after
Well,
that.
it's very early New York. That's probably why.
I mean,
very early.
But that's the thing, though. I looked it up again today because they kept talking about Chicago this, Chicago that, go across the river.
And then
Chicago.
look, he goes, oh, yikes. I did watch 2 episodes and there was not an Illinois-like accent. Hey, man, all I heard was Italian people doing the thing. All they were missing is the this. They didn't do the this.
It's just Italian accent, but they're definitely in Illinois because they keep going to Chicago. I'm like, you don't go from New York to Chicago that quick, you know, especially not in the, what was it, the 20s, 1920s? I think it was
something like that.
Yeah, Prohibition. Yeah, it's 1920s.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, like it's dub, I think, is the definitive way to watch this show.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Fun fact about the Fanga dub voice actor. It's Shanks, dubbed voice actor.
The world is
crazy. Before we talk about the finale, I also wanted to mention Nero's sister, who I can't remember her name, but I was also
I think
surprised.
her name is Fiona.
Fiona.
But people they call her Fio. I think it's Fiona. Yeah. They just call her Fio. Because if she's just called Fio, that's very interesting. But yeah, Fio.
Yeah, I was super surprised when she killed her I guess recent husband. I was surprised, but at the same time, he was acting like just like a crazy, stupid, annoying guy. I was like, I probably would have done it too.
She did it for the family.
She did it for her. She like fuck the family. Like, this guy needs to go. I made a mistake. I'm going to own up to it.
Yes.
Oh, that was surprising to me though.
No, and I like that it was like with the pea shooter. It was the little double barrel.
I was starting to think that Avilio gave that to her or something. I'm like, when did he pass her a gun? But I'm like, no, I think she just had that on her. I think she just always has the strap. She knew. That's the kind of life she lives, I guess. But that was it. Kind of made me laugh, and it was surprising. So I wanted to point that one out.
No, and that was a good surprise too. Like the whole thing with the flowers and the little message. See, to me, it's the camera angle, of course. But I'm like, how did he not see there was a note there? But then you pan in and see that he was backwards to her. So he actually gave his back to her. So I was like, okay, cool. But yeah, it was powerful. It was also kind of like disheartening. Frate's downfall, like how his life, his mental well-being just fell down, and this became all distorted. Was crazy. And then
that was sad.
The way Avilio low-key kind of like poked him into doing what he did that cost him his life.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
I figured there was some kind of trick that went on. I'm like, oh, there's about to be a mistake made here. Something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah. So are we ready to talk about the finale?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
So I'm gonna say this, which I don't think anybody's gonna agree, but I'm still gonna say it because I want to feel this way. It's very personal. It's inside. I saw this ending like Inception.
Inception.
I don't know whether or not the top is still spinning or if it fell down. And what I mean by this is that I have no reason to believe that Avelio is indeed dead. And I have no reason to believe that he's not alive. Because we never see his body.
Yeah.
And one could say that Nero's big moment is the fact that he did not miss this time. But I don't see his body, so I'm not convinced that he killed Angelo. Even though that's kind of what you would think, because he left with a smile on his face, or kind of, you know what I mean? Like, he was able to close the chapter on his life, kind of. But you don't see his body.
I feel
so I'm
like
I
I kind of see what you're saying, but I also feel like his smile, to me, I interpreted it as, even though I think Avelio's dead, but for some reason I interpreted it as like, I let him get away. Like, that guy, he's still my guy. He's still out there.
Yeah.
Because he looked at the pineapple can too, and then
but also the pineapple can kind of makes you feel like, okay, he's dead, and he's
I feel like he would have been sad if he was dead, though, because they were practically like brothers. He was his right hand man. They've been together for so long, and he was like really hurt by this betrayal. So I don't know if he would have smiled. I feel like if he killed him, he would have been like just straight face and just driven away. But because he smiled, it was kind of a weird smile also. But because he smiled, I'm like, there's a chance Avelio might still be out there. But I feel like he definitely, at the very least, put a bullet in him, because he deserved to get shot at that point. If I was Nero, I'm like, I'm definitely at least shooting you.
Just put your hand out, bro. I need to draw some blood.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, like, and also the conversation they have on that finale is so powerful.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you just kill me? Da, 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 da. And then it ends with Avelio saying, then you should have killed me 7 years ago. And you're like, what? And you're like, damn. The whole thing that Nero's beginning to think that this is all his fault because he chickened out, because he couldn't pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's crazy because you're not going to justify taking someone else's life. But in the depths of this situation, of this crisis, of this conflict, the idea that Nero, in a way, had to accept that he was responsible for the downfall of his family's empire because he created a monster. He allowed a monster to fester and evolve because he didn't make sure that kid was dead. Yeah. And that's just crazy. You know what I mean? That's why I find it very poetic that it starts with the same two characters. It's the same scene in a different context. And you do see the same face. Nero, he closes his eyes again, he opens them up, and he fires, but we never see the body. Which
very Sopranos, if you ask me, even though they don't
very what?
Go to press. Very Sopranos, if you really think about it, minus the whole you see him drive away with the car.
I don't know why I feel there's a subset of the YouTube community that's probably going to ban us for just doing this.
I mean, we're just trying to be as authentic as possible. No disrespect.
Where's my deep dish? No.
No, too much butter in the lasagna. Man,
I told you there was too much butter last time. So your choice was to put no butter?
That was funny. That was interesting. I will say that, like, the little moments, and Brandon did mention this earlier, I just forgot to speak up, but like the little moments where they do kind of escape this, where in a revenge story, we're trying to take down the mafia, and it's just like kind of like everyday things is what I really enjoyed the most. And the lasagna thing was like one of the most random, but one of the things I enjoyed the most. Back. Yeah, we're just like, oh my, like nobody can make this guy a lasagna that he likes. Like, what is going on? It was funny. But But yeah, that ending, it was definitely the best part of the show, and really, I feel like just like let down all the walls that I was talking about earlier, as far as like, this is how I really feel about like you, about this whole situation. This is what I feel like you've done. I think it didn't have to be laid out from the get-go, but like adding little kernels here and there is what I would have preferred. If
Yeah.
I don't know, if we could go back in time and advise them on that. But I'm really glad. Yeah. But I really like the way. Shout out to Isaac. But I like the way that everything kind of came together, and we were able to like have them like look at each other and actually, I feel like, understand each other, like know where each person is coming from. I think that's like one of the most interesting parts about just like stories in general for me. So that's probably what I enjoyed it the most. That and like, oh my gosh, the like all the guys that like turned on the guys with like the Tommy guns or like the Chicago typewriters, as I said, was just lit the whole theater up. I was like, oh my god. I was wondering, I'm like, there's no way they're just shooting at other mafia people. Like the civilians have to be dying at the like, where is the police? Where is the SWAT team? Like it's just gone insane. It's gone nuclear. And I almost wish we got to see I don't remember his name, but he's like the new Don of the what was
Of the
Arkham
Galasias?
fam- Yeah, the new Don of the
It's
Galasias.
Tesla, I think it was the name.
Yeah, Tesla.
I'll find
I think
it.
so. I think you're right. But I was slightly interested to see like, because as far as I know, he was not really present in the series until like that moment. Strega. He wasn't present in the series until that moment, and he's like, I've been waiting for this. You know, I was next in line. I knew I was gonna have to wait a little while, but y'all sped it up, and I appreciate that. So I was kind of curious, like what he was gonna do and what his story was. Maybe that could be a way to revisit 91 Days. I don't know if they want to add another 91 Days or something. But
see, I found it interesting because I would have. This is gonna sound stupid. I think it goes without saying that we're led to believe that the entire season takes place within the span of 91 days.
that was also throwing me. But yes, I believe.
But I would appreciate it if we had a bit of a timestamp somewhere, like to know, like it's been 2 months or a month.
Yeah,
because we're left to assume that, but it's not that clear. And then every episode is like day 1 and day 2, which again, it's like more explanation.
I feel like it would have been a lot clearer if every like title card or like the thing that showed like what day it was, if it actually followed like the 91 days.
Yeah.
Then it would have made more sense to me. Because at some point I got lost. I'm like, okay, I feel like 2 years have passed by. Like he hasn't killed him yet. What is going on?
What are we doing?
Yeah, like he's just a part of the family now.
No, and the funny thing is, see, I think the only real reference, and this is me like digging, right, is that when they're leaving, when in the first episode where Corteo and Avelio escape with Vano and Nero. And Nero starts talking about the Playhouse and how it's going to be ready in June. I think you're led to believe that's 3 months from that moment.
Yeah, like
but it's not clear.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. I feel like they made it seem like starting a business happens like that. And that's why I was also confused.
Yes.
Because I was the way that the business had run and it had got so successful. That's why I thought it was such a long period of time.
Yes.
Because they gained so much success.
Yes.
But it seems like it was just an overnight success, which is pretty rare. So
Yes.
that was the other thing that confused me as well, as far as the timeline. Like it wasn't super important to my understanding of the story, but every time they referenced time, I was like, I don't know what year it is, where we are, what time it is. Like
it's
that part,
so far.
I was confused about.
Yeah. Well, Isaac, we actually haven't heard from you in regards to the ending. When you first saw the ending, and do you think Velio's alive?
I think Avelio is alive because I should have put this. You can see him not wanting to. Nero don't want to kill him at the end of it because you can argue that he understands what Avelio did at the end of it, and it's sort of like I can imagine him thinking, if were I in his shoes, would I have done the same kind of deal? And due to
I
how
think more
close
than
they
understand, I think that Nero accepts his
that
hand
too,
in the matter.
that too,
Mm.
that too, and I think he realized that Avilio have completed his mission. So, and to some extent also, if you want to punish him, if you really think about it, he gets more hurt surviving than actually dying.
Yeah.
Because
Not
now
having a
he
reason
don't.
to live.
Yeah.
Yes,
True.
exactly.
You
So
brilliant bastard.
Do you think he
So
shot
on
him
top-
just a little bit though?
I mean, he could just do a. He could be everything from what a
He
warning
just fill
shot
him up
to.
with lead a little bit.
Yeah, like
He could
just
just be a It could just be a warning shot. It could be him feeling that he should sort of like he pulls the
You don't need
trigger,
both
but
of them ears, do you?
what I mean is it's sort of like
Exactly.
he has the he has the gun to his finger to the trigger, and the last second he decides, no, I'm not gonna do it. So
Yeah.
so there's several different way he could have not killed him, so to speak. But I think most importantly is two reasons why he wouldn't kill him. One, how close he felt to Abelia or Angelo, as you and two, technically, if you want to punish him for what he did to him, it's much more punishing to keep him alive than just kill him.
Yeah.
Considering how he felt
I
mentally.
like this. I
Yeah.
like this
And
a
they
lot.
did just have a conversation. Either that, they're reflecting on a conversation that had happened in the past about like Nero was asking Abelia like, why do you need a reason to live? Like, just live. Like, just do that. So maybe he is alive. There's a
I
chance.
like this. I like this take, Isaac. It's brilliant, I'm telling you.
Mhm.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome. I don't know, guys. It was great. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. The opening and the ending themes, like the music,
Yeah.
I enjoyed the music throughout the show more than I enjoyed the opening in the intro and the outro music. Does that make
I
sense?
agree. Yeah.
I felt it was
I mean,
it was
it's
great
not the.
score. It was a great score.
I mean, it's no Unravel, if you even know what I mean.
Oh, buddy. But here, yeah, Unravel is one of the best openings of all time. Period. And music, artistry. Have you seen Tokyo Ghoul, Jamie?
I've seen one episode. Every
So you
time
seen,
I want to get
so
into
you've seen
it.
the intro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's one of the best openings ever. But yeah. Do we have anything else on 91 Days, guys? Or have we done the thing?
I did you have any thoughts about the ending, Isaac?
No,
Or just in
I was
general?
just.
Any additional?
It's been an interesting listening and discussing with you. How do you like? How you felt about it?
Thank you.
Considering it's sort of like I feel like this is a show that went under so many people's radar, which is another reason why I felt that we should cover it. Kind of deal.
Bring it back.
Even though.
Yeah, I was a little bit nervous going into this discussion, not gonna lie. Because, like, yeah, I did not know that you had been asking for this since before the channel got started. I just knew you were asking about
I
the past
totally
couple
forgot
weeks.
about it.
Yeah.
And I knew that, like, you really
admit
liked
it, Jamie. Everything got better ever since.
I mean, you know, that's what you want to say. I mean,
But I mean, there is certain animes I legitimately ask if we could cover because I think it's could be worth covering and talking about. And then there's also animes especially and specifically talk with Brandon about just because I love messing with him.
oh,
So and
yes.
this is the former one.
Interesting.
I mean, let me put it like this: I would never try and torture you and the mic towards Ultimate Teacher or those kind of stuff. So,
Well, I appreciate that. I feel a little bit bad for Brandon if he doesn't get that same treatment.
Apparently, I signed up for this when we.
Yeah, I don't
How
know.
long
You must have
have we been
signed a
doing this,
contract at some
Isaac?
point.
5 years now, maybe.
5, almost 6 years.
It's amazing.
Wow.
But yeah, we've done the thing, guys. We've done another amazing episode of the Amateur Otaku podcast. We're gonna do this every episode now. It needs to happen. Now then, um, but we've done the episode. We've talked about our thoughts of anime and manga for the week, and we've had a great conversation, spoiler and non-spoiler, of
Yeah,
the amazing 91 Days, an
I
original
enjoyed it a lot.
anime only series that came out in 2016, available for all to watch at Crunchyroll. Go check it out. It's a slow burn. I think if we were to ratio our thoughts on it, it's a 7 out of 10, 6.5, 7 out of 10. If we put all, which is still a great rating for the slow burn that it is. If you're willing to endure the first 9 episodes, you're going to be very happy that you did, because it ends with a bang. It has one of the most satisfying endings in all of anime. And in most animes, nailing the ending is very hard, and this one does it.
Yeah.
It nails it very, very well. So we strongly recommend 91 Days. Go check it out on Crunchyroll. If you love what we do here on this channel, thank you for allowing us to keep growing. We're at 205 subscribers. You guys are awesome. Yeah.
That's almost more than my high school class. I think we're like 210 or something like that.
Ooh, we're almost there. High school. We're almost in the shonen anime.
Yep.
We're gonna meet Comey. So if you love what we do here, make sure you click on the like button, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, follow us on Twitter at the Amateur Otaku Pod. If there's any shows that you think are not getting the spotlight that you think they should have, let us know in the comments below. If there are any anime that you think we should cover here on the show, and we'll take the time and watch the whole season if it's not too long, or we'll watch the first couple of episodes, and we will give it the spotlight that it deserves here on the Amateur Otaku podcast. Same thing goes with if you're reading a book or a manga. Go read Heart Gear. I'm going to keep plugging it. It's just going to happen. It is awesome, but let us know what you're reading as well, and maybe we'll cover here on the channel. You guys are awesome. Stay awesome. Keep watching anime, and we'll see you next time on the Amateur Otaku podcast. Have it awesome, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Go.